Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. Today we are learning Yevamos Kuftet Zayin 116. The Mishnah, the beginning of the parak, talked about. I want to read this Mishnah because I think it's very important to read the words of the Mishnah. It's like Isha Shahalcha Hiu Baila on Kuf Yudal and Beis, the first Mishnah in the parak. Ha'isha Shahalcha Hiu Baila B'Dina Sayam Shalom B'Nol B'Nav Shalom B'La Olam Bava Amra Meiz Baila Tinasi Meiz Baila Disyabim. She goes along with her husband in this case. The case of the Mishnah, she goes along with her husband to Medina Sayyam. They went, I'm just making up different places. I don't know. She went to the Grenadines. I don't know. She went to one of these islands in the lower Antilles, let's say. The lesser Antilles, not the greater Antilles, in the Caribbean. Grenadine. Not Grenadine. What is it? There's a place called Grenadine? I don't know. No. Maybe there is. I'm not sure. Grenadine. Confusing it with like stuff you put like made out of cherries. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. The Virgin Islands. I don't know. The British Virgin Islands. Necker Island. They went to Richard Branson's private island. He invited them. She went there with her husband. She comes back to Benzion and she says, "My husband died." They believe her. Right now it says, "Tinasi meis baltis yabim." We had a previous Mishnah. Let's read the Mishnah. I don't know if I have it in this. Do I have it over here? Yeah, I do. Pei Zayin Amud Beis. Ha'isha, the first Mishnah. Ha'isha, shahalach baila Medina Sayyam Bava Amru La Meiz Balech. Now it's only her husband. This Mishnah, only her husband went. And some people said, we find that even in Yechad says, your husband died. And then she got married on that. This case is different. She actually went with her husband. She has first-hand knowledge. She's the Isha. She's the Isha. But she has first-hand knowledge. She was with her husband. So here, her testimony is a lot more convincing than relying on someone else's testimony. When someone else gives testimony, that's, I would say, less proof than when you give testimony yourself. You saw it, right? She presumably liked her husband or was in the marriage with her husband. To her to come back and testify, my husband died, and her husband didn't come back with her, right? That's more proof. She went with her husband. Her husband didn't come back with her. Right? That's sort of a circumstantial evidence that her husband really died. She testified. Her husband didn't come back with her. They went together. They didn't come back together, and she claims he died. It says, Tinase Tisyabim. It doesn't say, what about if her husband does come back, right? That Mishnah on Pei Zayin Beis says, if her husband does come back, she relied on the Eidim, then Kol HaDracham Eluba, she has to get a get from both marriages, kids from both Mamzerim, she loses all her money. All these knasos that Chazal made. Here we don't find any knasos. I'm going on a limb to say that over here there is no knas over here. We do believe her because, as I said before, and I made a distinction before, if one Eid Echad, a kosher Eid Echad, comes and says that her husband died, that Eid Echad has validity in halakha to cause a suspicion, Mechayev Shvuah. If it has validity to make it, let's say, a 75% chance, but it's not 80 proof, it's not a proof, it's not 100% proof. So you need, with the Eid Echad, you need the Umdana, the circumstantial evidence that Milsa David Gluye. It's something which is eventually going to be found out. The husband's going to come back. So therefore, combined with the Nemanus of the Eid Echad, you also have a circumstantial evidence which heightens his level of Nemanus, believability. And therefore, it's a proof, 80%. It's a proof, 80 proof from liquor, 40% alcohol, usually most liquors. 80 is a proof, 80%, 70% is a suffix, is a chazaka, but not a proof. A proof of raya, 80% will be a proof. So it's enough evidence in order for her to get married. That's Eid Echad. And as I was medayiking that Mishnah, she wouldn't necessarily have all the knasos. That if she relied on a kosher Eid Echad, she wouldn't have all the knasos that happen, all the penalties that happen. That Mishnah says that there's a special leniency that if there's no kosher Eid Echad, there's two psulei edim or many psulei edim, or a woman herself who's pasala eidas, which has no validity in halacha. The Rabbanan, because of Iguna, because they don't want her to not get married again, and because they made knasos, so therefore Benzion gave her a believability, not a believability, koach hataina, that I explained yesterday. Benzion decided in her favor, she can get married. They decided, but they said, you know what? First of all, she's going to be Iguna. Second of all, she's daiko mitzvah. She wants to find out. She doesn't want to be, in a situation where her dead husband comes back alive. That's going to cause a lot of problems. And we gave her all these knasos. So therefore, based on that, Kolach HaBeisin allows her to remarry. Not because of a proof. She never proved it. But the Benzion Kolach HaTaina, Benzion can make decisions for that, even if they don't have necessary proof. Here, the Mishnah doesn't say anything about that, and I'm willing to say, go on a limb over here, that because the Gemara said this also on Koftet Vavam and Aleph over here, where the Gemara says Hirzika milchama ba'olam. She's the one who testifies that there was a war in the world. And the Gemara has a question: what if it was in Hirzika? It was in Eid Echad, and the Gemara has a shayla. The Gemara has Eid Echad because of Milsa Devil Gluya or because Isha Daiko Mitzvah. And here the Gemara has the same exact shayla on Kuftet Zayin Amud Beis. Over here on the top, the Gemara says, what about Eid Echad? Says there's a ktata beinayim, there's a fight between the husband and wife. That was one of the reasons in the Mishnah, where we wouldn't necessarily believe the woman. What about an Eid Echad says it? An Eid Echad is better than an Isha, right? So here by Eid Echad, even though normally Eid Echad is believed, right? Eid Echad bektata, right? So the Gemara has two stadim. Is he believed because most of the like Luye, it's going to be found out. So therefore, an Eid Echad normally is believed 75%. Create a suspicion, the Mechayev Shvua, because just like right Eid Echad, when a case where she didn't go with her husband overseas, it was the same thing, the same reasoning would apply, and therefore it would be good 80% proof. It would be enough proof in order to allow her to remarry. Or the Gemara has a second side. This is a chiddush, even though the Gemara says Daiko Mitzvah, it's not the same Daiko Mitzvah in Daf Pei Zayin and Peiches. It's a Daiko Mitzvah which combined with the Eidos of the Eid Echad, and because Daiko Mitzvah is not because we feel bad for the woman and she looks into it. So all these reasons combined, we allow her to remarry because Iguna and Daiko Mitzvah and the Knossos, everything. No, it's not because of the Knossos, it's not because of Iguna. Daiko Mitzvah also creates a little bit of an umdana because she looks into it. She doesn't want to look bad, the woman, that their husband comes back. So she's going to look into it also. So the woman here is looking into it also. The Eid Echad, she's supporting the Eid Echad. The Eid Echad, right, says that the husband died. She's supporting the Eid Echad. She's Daiko Mitzvah. She looked into it. She claims the husband's dead also. So that also adds on to the proof, right? It adds on the proof. It makes it 80% proof. So either way, you have proof. The only nafkamina is if you're relying on Daiko Mitzvah. So here, when it's katata, when it's a fight, so the Gemara says, but the dummy, she's not going to report accurately. She's going to report even when she's not sure. So therefore, you don't have that circumstantial evidence to add on to the nemanis or the Eid Echad. So therefore, it reverts to just the Eidos of Eid Echad, which is not enough to allow her to remarry. So that's the takeaway in the Gemara. The takeaway in the Gemara is this shayla in the Gemara is very different over here than the Daf Pei Zayin and Daf Pei Ches, where it wasn't the Isha didn't go with the husband. Here, because she went with the husband and she's returning without the husband, there is circumstantial evidence, Daiko Mitzvah, there is circumstantial evidence to add on to the Eid Echad, and that's why the Gemara is a shayla over here. In Eid Echad, even though before we said Eid Echad is normally believed, but most of that like Gluye, here maybe Eid Echad would not be believed because maybe the reason they believed Eid Echad over here when she went with her husband overseas is more because of the woman herself going overseas with the husband. So you need that to combine with the Eid Echad, and Milsa Devil Gluye would not be enough over here, and therefore it wouldn't work over here with the Katata. And she said with the dummy. That would be the conclusion of today's share. Hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow.